Matrix on the screen, healthcare in between. Physics, art, and math got us down this path. Historical tales come alive, where science and stories dive. Blended facts with heart, knowledge from the start. Need bridge blues we sing to the future memory. Health and science in the mix. Need got the fix. Complex subjects make
right
clear
now
every episode
in ways that we actually acquire knowledge
leads the way.
and ways that make me more efficient.
In the world of digital streams, turning knowledge into dreams. Through the tales of old, new stories unfold.
Thank you so much for joining with me. It is truly an honor and a privilege.
Medbix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges.
Hey, welcome to the Medbix Webcast. This is Ramana Annamaraju. I'm the host. Thank you for joining. I'm in a different place today. I'm not in my original Silicon Valley. I am in Washington, D.C., attending some inaugural balls. We had a lot of fun last 2 days. That I met several distinguished congressmen, politicians, scientists, doctors, all of them I met. It's a really fun trip it is. So my daughter is her birthday is coming soon. Next 30th January 30th, her birthday. Her name is Leena. I have another Leena is coming on my show right now. Her name is Leena Pradhan Nabzdyk. Okay, name is a little bit of a long stretch for me, but it's interesting. Americans are 80% of, I used to go to the doctor's offices, setting up practices and all those things. One of the things that during the beginning days of the CBD, the marijuana liberalization process, California, Colorado, all these states, they liberalized about the marijuana prescriptions. So one of the things doctors were puzzled by this one is there is a two content in the marijuana. One is the CBD oil, which is anti-inflammatory. It is actually reduces a lot of pains, stuff like that. That's what they claim. At least I don't know much about it. So the other one is THC, is a psychedelic effect. It is a mind effect out there. But they don't know what content is usually. The CBD, they don't want to give it too much of that, the THC content, because if they drive or something, it is under the influence. So it is actually by default 3% it comes with the CBD oil. But if the problem is the doctors they don't know which one to prescribe. They don't even understand what is going on with that one. So there is a big challenge that the doctors faced. So I was looking for a lab that tests it and see how they can, what content is it they have, what percentage of THC they have. I could not find anyone at that time, but now we came to rescue. She's a professor in the Harvard Medical School, Ph.D. Leena Pradhan. She is a Ph.D. in Harvard Medical School. Extensive, she did some research. I'm going to ask about her research first, and then she did extensive research on this scientific, bringing science to the dietary supplements, like CBD oil or anything like that, all the vitamins we take. So let me bring it to the front stage. Dr. Leena Pradhan, welcome to the Medbix Webcast.
Thank you so much, Ramana. It's such a pleasure to be on this famous podcast of yours. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. So let me ask you a question. Just give me your background. Your PhD, where did you do your PhD, and what do you do in your PhD in the school, in the Harvard Medical School?
Yeah, so before we even get started with that, happy birthday to the other Leena. And believe it or not, my birthday is on January 31st. So your
Oh my
daughter's.
God.
What a coincidence. So, yes. Going back to your question, my PhD is in pharmacology. I'm from India. I came to Tulane University in New Orleans. That's where I did my PhD. And as soon as I was done with that, I did a year of postdoc, again in pharmacology. And then I moved to Boston at Harvard Medical School, initially as an instructor, and now I'm an assistant professor. But all of my academic research is in vascular surgery and looking at or really learning and understanding how vascular grafts fail, how can we prevent them from failing, what kind of biomaterials could be used to repair the failures, or to even therapeutics that could be used to mitigate vascular graft failure. So that is what I do for my research. I've also done research in diabetic wound healing, quite a bit of that. And so that's where my academic journey sort of, or my academic career began. I'm still at Harvard. I'm also involved in a lot of training programs for training surgery residents to do research. So that's my academic background. But then in between, at some point, I also did an MBA at MIT Sloan. And so I have a PhD in pharmacology, and I'm also an MBA.
So let us talk about CBD. And I was just mentioning about CBD and THC components. There's a lot of these big debate going on, and a lot of people wanted to use it. They don't understand the component mix. Tell us a little bit about that and what are the things involved.
Yeah, so it is complicated from for many different reasons, for legal reasons, for scientific reasons. So at some point, and I know we will be talking about my company later, but we were doing a lot of research on CBD, not so much on THC, and trying to really understand, because as you know, CBD products are still being sold, although the FDA does not approve of selling those products, but they are everywhere. And we wanted to make sure that we understand at least the basic science behind how the CBD oil works. And at least when we studied some of these, or I wouldn't say different oils, but different sources of the CBD oil, we did see a lot of effect on inflammation. Um, and we were excited about it. Unfortunately, we had to stop that research because we were applying for some national federal funding, and the agency that we were applying to, does not allow you to do any research on things like CBD if we wanted funding from them. So, but like you said, it's quite confusing. Legally, it's confusing. We don't know, and not just CBD, but any of the botanical ingredients, they're quite complicated, and it really depends on the source where you get them, and not just source, how the plant was grown, how the active ingredient was extracted, what kind of soil conditions, climate conditions, all of those things affect the botanical ingredient. Thereby, every batch is different, and the efficacy of every batch can be different, and the contaminants could be different. So it's quite complicated. It's not like your synthetic molecule, like your ibuprofen. You buy any brand, doesn't matter if you buy Target brand or CVS or Walgreens, whatever. You don't think about it twice. It's ibuprofen. It's the same molecule. That's not the case for any of the botanical ingredients.
So, Lena, the dietary supplements, they're coming from all over the world. We have
Hmm.
no understanding of it. As a consumers, we just go there and say, that is good. Somebody says that, friend says that, go and buy it, and then we buy and use it. That's all most of the consumers are doing it. They don't even know the efficacy, safety, all those things are missing in the whole process. They don't mention anything there. They only talk about just a lot of commercial aspect of that. They really advertise kind of all those good things it does. So what are including the very famous people that promote things that are not real sometimes, so what is the protection that consumers have in this one? What are the regulatory, like FDA or the other regulations, like the consumer commissions and all those things? What are their role in this whole process? Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Oof, it's a multi-billion dollar question that you just asked. And to start with, like you at the beginning, you said that these ingredients or these products, they come from all over the world, and that's absolutely true. In fact, I would say 60 to 70% of the ingredients that are used in dietary supplements, especially the botanical ingredients, they come from Asia. Some of them come now from Latin America. And as I just mentioned earlier, especially for the botanical ingredients, really depending on the source where the plant was grown, what region the plant was grown, the growing conditions, the crop strain, the rain, the climate, the soil microbiome, everything affects the quality of that ingredient. What the FDA, the way pharma is different from dietary supplements is that in pharma, you have to go through clinical trials, sort of a pre-approval process before you can start selling those products. In case of dietary supplements, they're still considered food ingredients. A lot, most of the ingredients are food. There are, little, I'm just simplifying this as much as I can for the audience. But so you don't have to go through that clinical trial pre-approval process. But the FDA does regulate the dietary supplements in a different way. So, for example, the manufacturing of dietary supplements has to be the same way as drugs in a manufacturing facility that is approved by the FDA. You cannot make any kind of claims without having proper studies. So, if you want to make a claim, that you'll often see a product that says this will help support your mental health or help support your cardiovascular health. But the minute a company starts saying this is going to improve your blood pressure, that becomes a problem. So that's where the FDA and the Federal Trade Commission control some of these aspects. If you want to, if there are any kind of issues with quality or safety, that's when the FDA that's where the FDA has its jurisdiction. So yes, these are not drugs and not protected like drugs. So the consumer, as you said, it's mostly word of mouth. And, there are a lot of companies. And again, I come from, the clinical academic background. And um, it's very different than in the dietary supplement industry, but having been in this industry now for a few years, I can absolutely tell you that there are a lot of companies that are absolutely ethical, want to do the right thing. In fact, go make their products go through clinical trials, even though they are not expected to, only because they want to bring the best product to the market, want to make the consumer gets, a good quality product. But again, there are other, nefarious players that, just to make a quick buck will use fraudulent methods or fraudulent ingredients in their products, and then it taints the whole industry, brings the whole industry down, and it in the process can harm the consumer. So so there are, and then the other test that I didn't from a regulatory perspective, the FDA requires you to test what you call identity, potency, and purity of an ingredient. So basically, identity is, for example, is this green tea or not? And that has to all be on the label on your bottle. How much of the green tea is in there that has been claimed on the label? That's the second thing. And then you have to look for any kind of common contaminants, including heavy metals or biological contaminants like E. coli, salmonella, things like that. So there are some checks and balances, but not as the efficacy is the part that is not stringently tested. So
So
that's
actually, that's what the point I was trying to get into. The efficacy part, they were saying that the agency is responsible to prove that the claims are wrong. So that is not the company, but the agency as the responsible. So they don't get into that kind of thing. That's why they're very liberal kind of people can claim anything, and then the agency has to prove that the claim is wrong. The responsibility is on the agency, not the manufacturer. Is that right, or some extent?
Yeah, you to some extent that's, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but yes, to some extent that's right. And companies like, like my company, we are trying to bring as much science as possible to this industry. And there are other companies too who are trying to do the same. What's changed, I would say, in the last few years is again going back to that point that you made about the consumer, right? Everybody's become digital savvy. And yes, you're right. In the past, maybe you met friends and maybe you called someone and they said, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm taking this. You should try this too. That still happens. But on top of it, everything becomes viral so quickly. So it's good and bad, right? And so if a product is really good, then of course, you're going to get, a lot of consumers, whatnot. But again, on the flip side, if a product is bad, and like you talked about, probably influencers and whatnot, and so it can become like the wild, wild west. But again, the consumers are becoming savvy. They are demanding a lot from these companies. They want to know everything about the ingredient, not just the science, but also where is it coming from? How does the supply chain look like? What kind of packaging is being used? So there are all these um, consumer-driven, I would say, changes that are happening in the industry.
the Let us talk about the other aspect of the interactions. A lot of doctors don't know, they take a blood pressure medication and they take something else, so that is I don't know how the adverse effects are there, positive.
Mm.
Are there any studies done on these dietary supplements effect on the regular interactions with the medications that they take? Are there any pure science or just a guessing game? Where we are at in that stage?
Oof, and that's also a huge challenge, right?
It's a black box.
Because a lot of these ingredients, we don't even know what they do by themselves, right? Then you make a multi-ingredient product. So forget, I'm still not touching the actual drugs or the medications, right? So even in a formulation of natural ingredients, you don't know how those multi-ingredient formulations are going to affect a person. Then on top of that, you now add a layer of a prescription medication, right? And what is that adverse effect? So we don't know a whole lot, and we need to spend a lot of money on research, and research is not cheap. And so, there are studies, of course, that are done, but it's not, you won't find, 50,000 studies looking at this, right? Now, AI is going to help a lot around that, right? Even at Canomics, we have a lot of AI capabilities where, if we want to look at drug, because we know a lot about drugs, because the way a drug comes to the market is by doing that fundamental research, right? What happens at the preclinical level, mechanisms of action at the clinical level, all of that. So we have enough data on drugs. We need to start doing the same thing for these types of dietary supplement type of formulations. And then once we have enough data, then using AI methods, you can see, at least predict drug dietary supplement interactions, just like you can now predict using AI drug interactions. So, but you have to have good data to start with. We have enough good data on the drug side of things. We don't have enough data on the natural product side of things.
So, Lina, you and me came from India. So, we are exposed to Ayurveda, food as a. Ayurveda is one of the central theme of Ayurveda is a food as a medicine, right? So that is we all grew up with it, So my father is the doctor. He was practicing both Ayurveda and the allopathic medicine. So he was, the food is a very, he eats right on time, certain, my mother used to cook everything with all the seeds. She never mixed any powders. So it is such a uh, part of our lives that eating the very basic things. What do you bring this to the table? Food as a medicine. The concept is picking up big time in the United States. Even the Senator Bill Fish is talking about it. Tell us a little bit about food as a medicine concept itself, and then we talk about Indian food as a medicine, the traditions of Ayurveda.
Yeah. Oh, Ayurveda, as you've used it for centuries, right, in our culture. And like you said, when I was growing up, the same thing. You get sore throat, for example. My grandma's go-to was, even today, my mom will tell me, oh, drink warm milk in the morning or hot milk with turmeric in it. Or, turmeric is the answer for everything, right? In the Indian culture, you get a cut somewhere, oh, put turmeric on it because it's antiseptic. So again, growing up that way, we knew that these things work. What we are trying to do now is really use the modern science to delineate how do those things work, why do they work, who can benefit most, what what kind of ingredients can we mix together to have the most benefit, right? And so that is something that we are looking into ourselves. And it's not, and to go back to your point about how your mom used to cook like fresh food, and we have lost that in the modern world. Again, I grew up the same way. We hardly went out to eat. Maybe once or twice or three times a year, I can count on my fingers. Every day was home cooked food. And I often tell my friends here who are not Indian is, if you were to come to my Indian kitchen and open up what we call the spice box, a lot of these ingredients are packaged and sold as dietary supplements. Cumin, for example, ginger, for example, garlic. And nowadays, shatavari has become very popular. Shatavari is basically asparagus, but shatavari powder is used for lactation help for new mothers. So that all of these things are now you see them here, but these are part of our diet. And even in my house here, and I'm just going to confess, I'm not very good about it. My parents were visiting last year. That was a different story because they like home cooked food. And it's truly, food as medicine. It was really brought home when they were there because I was cooking every day and delicious food. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap between the ingredients we use in Indian cooking and the medicinal benefits that we have studied. And now these ingredients are being sold as dietary supplements, like I said.
I have a very good friend is Dr. Jelligam, Vijay Jelligam. He comes on my podcast quite a bit. He is a now cardiologist. All the
Mm.
cardiologists, several cardiologists, including Dr. Japra, Dr. Jelligam, they're all into now they're saying food as a medicine concept. They're embracing it. And he gives me ashwagandha. He told me to take ashwagandha every day. I'm taking it. What do you think? What is ashwagandha does? Do you know anything about it a little bit?
Yeah, so I haven't personally studied ashwagandha, but I'm very well versed with what it is supposed to do, or what it is claimed to help with. And again, we haven't done the studies ourselves, but the claims are around mental health and supporting mental health and supporting sleep. I think a lot of these ingredients and these products really came to the forefront during COVID, because
Yes.
there was so much focus on health, right? We were all sitting at home on our computers, working from home, and health was the focus, and mostly prevention was the focus. And again, dietary supplements are not supposed to treat, cure, or prevent a disease, but what they can do, the right kind and the good quality kind, can help support some of your health, just to maintain health and wellness. Of course, when you're sick acutely or even chronically, you need to take your drugs, and that cannot be replaced. But just eating healthy, maybe you don't need to, maybe you don't get sick because your lifestyle, your food as medicine concept, you've really embraced it, and eating healthy food every day, or even these dietary supplements, including ashwagandha or any other turmeric, or that's my favorite one because I have studied a lot. We've done a lot of work with turmeric.
These are the peer-reviewed studies, right? There's a lot of evidence for this kind of a
Yes.
particularly turmeric has a huge, huge
Yeah,
evidence-based system.
yeah. And we need the same rigor for the other ingredients as well. You cannot bypass, or you cannot just take shortcuts when you're doing science. And science is not easy, science is not cheap, but it's needed. And the more science we bring to this industry, the more we'll know. Maybe we don't need to mix, like I always tell my clients, maybe you don't need to mix five ingredients, maybe two of those are enough to have the benefit. But unless you test it and unless you do the science, you will not understand that, or you will not find out about their efficacy. So
There are a lot of doctors. They come on the shows, that they claim that they want to do dates and avocado. Looks like a good. They want to be natural medicine. That's a good thing they're proposing. That's a good idea. Let me talk about the another important factor. Taking these supplements, absorption factor is extremely
Mhm.
important, right? Tell us a little bit about absorb. That I took it. That doesn't mean that it's working, but absorption process is not clearly defined. It is a challenging itself, right?
Yeah, and again, I'll go to my favorite ingredient, which is turmeric. It's a classic ingredient that we know. It's very hard to get absorbed. So a lot of times you'll find formulations that are 5x extract, or nowadays you'll even find them packaged in some nanoparticles that will help you with absorption. Again, every ingredient is different. Every ingredient has a different, what we call the pharmacokinetic profile for absorption and metabolism and excretion. So uh, again, just like drugs, right? Drugs get absorbed differently. The same thing with these ingredients. And the challenge with the natural ingredients, especially the botanical ingredients, is that you can't always have them in the form that will be easily absorbed. So it really depends on ingredient to ingredient. Again, that's where the studies come, right? We can do preclinical studies to understand mechanisms of action, but you really need to do either clinical studies or preclinical studies using animals to understand the pharmacokinetics, basically the absorption and the systemic concentrations of these molecules, the bioactive molecules present in these ingredients.
When I that's when I come back, and I will ask you about your, just a minute. Let me bring you to the table, and it's just yeah. When I come back, I will ask you about your company that you do the testing,
Mm,
and economics, the company, what they do, and how we can validate a lot of these dietary supplement companies. They can get some kind of a science behind them. We
yeah,
need a science. So what your company does, and you can explain that when I come back. But I'm going to present topic on the one of the things that, a lot of things happen in the around the Boston area, that where you live. I'm going to explain that a little bit. So I'm going to present a topic, and then you can jump in anytime if you want to do.
sure,
Then we go from there. Okay, we're going to watch
sure.
together this one, and let me this just let me put that thing together. Yeah, let me. I'm just working.
No
Give me
problem.
something that. Yeah, this is. Yeah, maybe I need to hide you a little bit first. Once, give me 1 second. There's a little bit of a strange thing goes on. I'm going to. Oh no, this is. I want to do that. Yeah. On emergence, that is going to be emergence topic is going to be why it is this is one is to be just a minute. um, why it is okay, maybe that's what I'm doing wrong somewhere. This is a little challenging nowadays. Let me do this. Yeah, sometimes it comes easy, sometimes it's not. I don't know why it is doing this. Yeah, this is okay. Where is the slide is coming? I'm trying to bring this slide. I'm having a little bit hard time. The change is so much complicated they're making right now. Yeah, let me. Okay, this is, I have to make it. I have to hide you a little bit for a minute, and then I have to bring you back. Yeah, that's. That is a little bit of a challenge right now. I'm having a technical problem. I want to solve this problem, but this is really, really frustrating sometimes. The technology is a frustrating, right?
And you are not in your usual
A
spot.
usual
That's,
place,
yeah,
yeah. That's
yeah,
another challenge, right? Yeah,
yeah.
that is a that is a that is a that is a bigger challenge. But anyway, this is I'm going to present this topic, and that I am the scene. Duplicate, yeah, scene. Maybe that's what I do. Media, maybe that's what I do. I don't know. This is really giving me a hard time. This is yeah. Okay, let me that. Okay, now we are in the bottom. That's what I wanted it for a long time. It is. I really took a. Sorry, guys. So anyway, this is the gain of function that I'm going to talk. So we're in the bottom. You can see us. So, what is life and what is intelligence? It's a very complicated question. How the physics and science. The Lena is talking about science, so we need to talk about science of intelligence. What is the intelligence? What is the life? It is a very tough question to answer. Aristotle to Avicenna and Stout Kaufman is a really still living a legend, a doctor, a medical doctor. Stout Ameroff is anesthesiologist, and Roger Penrose is a very celebrated mathematician, Nobel Prize winner. And then Sarah Walker, she's presently a physics professor. They're all trying to answer this question: what is life? What is intelligence? Because we have artificial intelligence in the center stage now, so we need to understand what is intelligence first. Santa Fe Institute is one of the world leading thinkers association, thinkers institution. He is talking about these kind of a complex subjects. So there is a three kind of intelligence in my view. I can't, intelligence. I'm very hard to define, but I can classify them in my own way into three ways. Was the human intelligence, animal. We are animal itself, but I separated the animal intelligence from the human intelligence for a classification sake. And the third one is artificial intelligence. That is everyone in the the taxi driver to Uber driver to everybody CEO is talking about artificial intelligence in the Silicon Valley. That is all three are very important now. There's a lot of interactions going on in between. So there is a common thing between them. There's a black box. I'm going to explain to you. There's a black box is a common thing among all the intelligence. If you see the show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, there is a lifeline. There is a three choices in the lifeline. Take two choices, or ask an expert, ask audience. There is three choices. They give it to the contestant. You know, so people think that if I call an expert, my dad or my brother or somebody who is an expert in this area, they will answer the question. What they found out is the audience, or the 91% of the time, they are correct, better than even expert. That's a puzzling. This audience, if you look at their audience pictures, you will be shocked really, because they don't even know the president of the United States. How can they come as a collective intelligence? They come with the right answers 91%. It defies common sense. They say that who went to the space twice, they answer is right, correctly, then they don't know the president. If you talk to an individual person, they don't know the president of the United States. So how could that can be happen? That is a very puzzling thing. That is called. I'm going to explain you what that puzzle is. For example, American jury system. Common folks, they don't have any legal background. They don't have a scientific evidence background. There's not understanding of the law, but they come to the decisions. All the jurors are common folks. They come up with the decisions on the jury. In fact, what they found is that a lot of studies are done in Calvin and Zeisel study and the National Center for the State Courts. Actually, the decisions made by the jurors are almost matched with the very expert judges. That's a very strange phenomena. These people don't have any backgrounds. This collective intelligence is popping up somewhere. We don't understand it. That is very For example, another example I can give you, wisdom of the crowd, Wikipedia. Britannica Encyclopedia Britannica were written by experts and authors from England. But in the Wikipedia, that's the present Wikipedia, written by common folks, everybody did something there. So, but Wikipedia beats the Britannica Britannica, that encyclopedia, it beats 10 to 1. What is common folks? That's a crowd wisdom. This is called wisdom of the crowd. That is a very strange phenomena. That in humans, when they get together, they exhibit a very strange phenomena that is wisdom of the crowd. So wisdom of the crowd emerges from the people. It emerges the wisdom. A bunch of simple people produce a complex solutions, make a complex decisions. That itself is a mystery. That's a scientific mystery. It's not a mystery of my definition. I will tell you what that mystery is. Animal intelligence, for example, ants they're not architects. They don't have blueprint how to build a colony. They don't have a central authority there, but they build a very complex colonies. They come back with the shortest route for the food. How did they do that? Actually, the bunch of ants, swarm intelligence is called. They go and then do the work, and the whole thing comes out of simple rules. Actually, that algorithm is so powerful to looking for the food. The ants, we adopted it, humans, like Amazon and all the optimization algorithms. The ants optimization algorithm is called ants optimization algorithm. We adopt into the how the vehicle routing. How do you distribute the food? All the Uber distributions, all the Amazon distribution, food distribution, all of them are some extent follow the ant optimization algorithm. We're learning from a simple ant. This is a complex behavior. Simple rules produce a complex behavior. This is flock of birds. Simple rules. That's they produce a complex behavior in the sky. So that's a very mystery that is. But even the universe, for example, bunch of electrons, if you cool them down all the way to the absolute temperature, it can lift the maglev, the train, through the magnets, it lifts it up. The thousands of tons of train is lifted up, millions of tons. Can you believe that? A bunch of electrons lift up the train. That is an emergent behavior. It is a mystery. Human brain, that's a neurons produce only chemicals and chemical electrical signals inside, and then outside is the chemical signals, back and forth. The chemical inside and the electrical back and forth. Neurochemical, electrical, chemical signals produce a complex thoughts: love, hate, love it, hate it, and surprise. All those human behavior, complex behavior, consciousness behavior comes out of the simple neuron behavior, simple cell behavior, electrical, chemical signals. So what is this called? This is called emergence. And physics, they call this mysterious phenomena of the nature is called actual name, is a physical, the name in the science is called emergence. Is a new intelligence. Simple rules come back with a complex behavior that's between it's actually is a black box. We don't know what happens inside. Really, we don't have an access to the inside process. That is called emergence. Emergence is a black box. Now everybody is calling you black box. They're not telling you what that is. No laws can explain that emergence. You cannot explain what went on inside. So emergence is a black box behavior. We have no access to it. So that is the so simple laws, simple rules create a very large number of objects, create a complex behavior, but the black box is in between. Is a definition of black box is a black box is a system whose internal workings are unknown, but whose inputs and outputs are observed. That's a black box definition. That's what we see. So if you see now everybody is talking about artificial intelligence, chat ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a black. There is a black box inside the black box inside the ChatGPT. When they designed it, they did not expect this behavior. Even the architect of the ChatGPT did not expect. It happened in a phase shift. It's a 1 second. It just happened in a day. It's behaving like a human behavior. The output, it started writing like a human. The self-supervised learning has happened in the black box. We don't know how he did it. It's a bunch of data. You train it. You put just the data by brute data won't work. I will explain to you why. Brute data works some extent. After that, it doesn't work. You need to have some intelligence there. That is a machine intelligence is exhibiting this machine intelligence. So data is a brute force, statistical data. You put the bunch of data, you keep on hitting that into the is a transformer algorithm. They call transformer algorithm. That's kind of a framework. So you can bunch of them, the data, you can bombard it. After a particular instant, it does a phase shift, a symbolic. It's try to understand the meaning of the data. His machine it tries to understand the meaning of that data. That is symbolic AI. That is where the shift changes. That's where we lose control. So the self-supervised learning is a black box. That is, we don't know. The emergency is a black box here. Self-supervised learning, black box, emergence are the different words, but the same meaning, in fact. So artificial intelligence, all the large language models exhibiting the emergent phenomena. That is a scary, a little bit good and bad. I tell you what is good and what is bad. So life itself is emergent phenomena. Stuart Kaufman is a doctor, is a medical doctor, is ECSF, is certified. He's still alive. 1939 he was born. He defined the life is the between the order and a disorder, a age of chaos is between the order. If you put a milk in the tea, that before the black thing that the milk seeps into the tea, that there is a wave comes there. During that change, that is a life, he says. Everything is that interaction is a life. Now, once it is done, it is finished. The homogeneity come there once the tea is over. It spreads across the entire the tea. So during that change, that is a life. That's what he says. Self-organizing principle. Self-organization is the universal mystery. Universe has a property, self-organization. So this large language models exhibiting these outcomes, but there is one problem with the large language models. This is a Stephen Wolfram. He's from Boston, where Leena is from. Actually, he's one of the celebrated mathematicians. He wrote a lot of things, Mathematica. A lot of physics students, mathematics students follow his algorithms. What he did was Stephen Wolfram. He introduced a new concept called reducible computational complexity. What that means, you cannot predict outcome or output until you finish computing. You don't know what the outcome is. You have to finish the computation. So that is a bigger mystery, right? This is, if you apply this process, the bad part of the artificial intelligence I'm going to explain to you is a biological, when you apply to the biological functions. The gain of function is recently during COVID time, everybody was talking about gain of function research. The definition of gain of function is making a virus more transmissible and dangerous. That's what their function of. They make intentionally the virus more dangerous and more transmissible. That's what the goal is. That gain of function. Then they can design the vaccines, and then if they mutate into that new strain, then they have the vaccine ready. That's their goal was. Good intention, but that could be dangerous, right? The problem is with that Omicron, actually in the Boston University, the WTF, I say, not GOF, they took the Omicron virus, which is a very transmissible, that during the, he's born in India or something, that's what they said. That is easily spreading across the planet, very easy to spread. But it did not kill. It was a less dangerous. So these Boston University scholars, the research scientists, they thought, how could we make it a dangerous? So when Omicron affected the mice, no mice died. They took the Boston University. They used a gain of function research that tinkered the virus, and then they mutated into the Omicron S virus. It killed 80% of the mouses are killed during the so dangerous gain of function researches created a very dangerous biological virus. So AI can produce. Are you typing something, Leena?
Yeah, I was just looking into the Omicron S. I'm just curious
Yeah.
about it.
So
Yeah.
it's making but if this is the problem, Omicron virus, the Boston University did the research, did that, and they turned into the Omicron yes virus, very dangerous virus. It is so. After that, the government, White House passed a lot of laws. They're confused about it. People don't even know what the gain of function real definition is. Everybody has their own definitions they throw around there. It's a black box. Gain of function is a black box because of unpredictable outcomes can generate. It is an emergence. It is an emergent property. Gain of function is an emergent property. You do not know. You have no access to it. How it comes out at the end. In fact, Andy Pushak lab in the Johns Hopkins, he tried to do that, and then actually nature beat him before he predicts what is going to be outcome. It produced, and he got sick already with the influenza virus. He was not doing the COVID virus, but he was messing with the influenza virus. He got sick without, but before he predicted anything. So this is a very very um, bad part of the virus. Then you add the artificial intelligence of the quantum computers. What is a quantum computer? It is a natural language. It is understanding you, understanding the your joy, your love, your happiness, relationships, concepts. Then it becomes a very dangerous one. And then you use the AI on the top of it. It is a really can produce good a lot of good things it produce, and also it can produce a bad things there. So, biological evolution, the biological evolution takes a longer time. For example, if the people who get sickle cell anemia, that the African Americans get that, it takes, for example, it is the people that they develop, the reason sickle cell anemia came into the picture because they got this gene mutation to protect from the malaria in Africa. They came down here. So there is not much malaria here. That became that the gene got in the process of disappearing. So one or two appears that became the sickle cell anemia. That's why the African Americans have the disease. It came from Africa to protect. Actually, it is for good. It was very originated for the reasons of good to protect the malaria. But we have humans have the evolution takes a longer time. We have a slow and steady, we can respond. For infection like COVID-19, we can respond. But if you talk about AI, the large language models or AI, you ask a protein to produce a deadly virus, it can produce speed of light. That is, we have to watch. There's a lot of bad actors there. So gain of function research may not be the wise idea to, on the top of it, you give the gain of function research to the foreign countries. It's not a wise idea. That doesn't make any sense. It's not too smart. So, but AI can change the world of healthcare. One of the things is we are struggling with the American healthcare system is a paradox. Access, quality, and the cost is going up, and we need to bring it down. That is a very complex system. So that's why we can do things through AI. AI can analyze medical images. It can detect the breast cancer much easier because the mammograms are very hard to detect breast cancers. Assist with the diagnosis, it does. Manage patient records. We have a huge records and data. Scheduling appointments is one of the complex. Scheduling is one of the most complex
Yeah.
things. And file claims, it can do all those things. It's a lot of things it is really is going to do. But Jan LeCun says that is a is a chief AI, but there are people who are not worried about the AI. Is one of them is Anne LeCun. He says human intelligence is very powerful. He says that he won the Turing Award. Is a very well respected. He is a chief. Is a New York University professor, and he's also chief meta officer for the AI. He says that real world mapping is not there. That's why we don't have a lot of understanding of the real world mapping is not there in the AI. Maybe there, maybe we reach in along in the future, but it's not there yet. The real world mapping. The other one is mask autoencoder. This is like image processing. If you give a partial image of Leena, for example, I can recognize my daughter. So but the artificial intelligence cannot do that because it has the freedom of choices or too much freedom of degrees. Creating objective. Why I came to Washington D.C. to attend inaugural or whatever the functions I want to attend. I have an objective. The machine has no objective. There's a strange guy from Google engineer said that he's a sentient. The Gemini became a sentient human being. They fired him because it is not. The Jan LeCun says that he is not waiting when he comes back after vacation. He's not worried about the machine is not worried about him that she missed him. so he has a. So Jan LeCun says that some of the intelligence, like a cat intelligence, is a powerful cat, can jump in the walls, it can understand the dynamics, it can understand the physics of it. It is a long way to go in that direction for the so that's there is a so but one thing we need to understand, we have to tune with the nature. The birds flocking is one of the emergent behavior that emergencies. If you tune with the nature, the laws of nature, gravity is we don't know how the gravity came in. Gravity is a constant, right? There are 27 or 37. There are so many constants in the physics. We don't know how it came from. They came from. So same thing. We don't understand a lot of things. So better to tune with the nature, work with the nature. I think we can solve a lot of problems. And then we need to be careful a little bit about the AI. That's my view. It is we need some kind of regulations on AI. So thanks for watching. Let me bring Leena back to the. Let me see what she says, and then we can do that. Let me. Okay, Leena, welcome back.
Oh,
So
thank you. This was fascinating. I learned so much in, last 10, 15 minutes.
thank you. So it is a new kind of a concept that
Yeah.
everybody's black box. They talk about it. I wanted to explain that what is a physics, a scientific point of view. Science is behind everything, as you say. You do science. Let us talk about the. Let us talk about the science. The dietary supplements. We have a big problem. We need a science behind it. You do your lab. You create a lab. Tell us a little bit about your company and your lab, what they do. Just give us
Yeah.
a background of that.
So my company is called Canomiks. It was started by myself and two of my colleagues from Harvard Medical School, Dr. Manoj Bhasin, and Dr. Frank Legerfo. Manoj is one of the leading scientists in the field of genomics bioinformatics. He is now professor at Emory University in Atlanta. And Dr. Frank Legerfo is a world-renowned vascular surgeon. And the three of us worked together for many years in our academic labs and collaborated for many years. And we started Canomics. The idea was each one of us had our personal reasons to start looking into dietary supplements and the functional ingredients. Both Manoj and I, we grew up in India, so that was our angle. Frank has been a consumer of these products, and over his years, he's treated a lot of patients, especially patients with bad diabetes and wound healing and amputations and whatnot, who were also taking dietary supplements. So that was his interest. So we started Canomics, and our what we do at Canomics is really use our expertise, our individual and collective expertise. We just talked about collective intelligence. I'll use that term, our collective intelligence, to really bring scientific rigor to the dietary supplement industry. And like I mentioned before, one thing that is missing in this industry is really doing rigorous efficacy-based studies, and that's what we do at Canomics. We have a lab, and we look for how does a given ingredient in its individual form, or a combination of ingredients in what we call a multi-ingredient combination, affect human genes and thereby human health and wellness. And so, what we do in our science is we use commercially available human cells. These are the same type of cells that are used in your pharma drug preclinical studies. And we expose those cells or treat those cells with a dietary supplement ingredient or a dietary supplement formulation, and then ask that basic question: how does that affect human genes? And we know through methods of bioinformatics and genomics what these genes are involved in, what kind of human health and wellness conditions these genes can affect. And so that's what we look for. What we do is basically preclinical work, but we also can test materials or specimens that we can get from human studies. Again, we ask the same basic fundamental question: how is gene expression affected by anything? So that's what we do, and our real goal is to make sure that the consumers, like you talked about it earlier, how does a consumer know if it works or not? And that's a very common question. How do I know it works? Am I just taking something hoping that it will work? So that's why just we have the tools, we have the science. Why just leave it to luck, right? And so that's what we are doing. We are also funded by the National Science Foundation to create a new type of technology for standardizing the biological effect of these ingredients, especially the botanical ingredients, before they're even made into a product. And we can do that by testing them from every batch. Like I talked about it, every batch of the botanical ingredients, especially, they change from, dependent on, again, where they're grown, crop strain, etc. And there's no way to really look at or test a given ingredient for its biological effect. Let's say a company is using turmeric from some supplier in India. What if that supplier is unable to provide that, whatever that turmeric is? What if that company now has to source it from Peru? Is that turmeric the same? So that's what we are trying to do: standardize the biological effect
And
of these
also, we
botanical
don't know what the
ingredients.
content, the other content inside, they sometimes they put in, right? They could put
Yeah.
salt inside also, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. And like I said, most companies want to do the right thing, but then there are those fraudsters who want to make a quick buck. For example, lead acetate is a common
Yeah,
contaminant slash adulterant.
yeah.
There is an ingredient that we are creating a standard for, which is elderberry, which also became very popular during COVID times because it has been claimed that it has positive effect on inflammation. And so, but the challenge with elderberry is it takes a long time to grow an elderberry plant so that it can start making elderberries that can be used in these products. And in fact, in the United States, we don't have. I'm actually working with a couple of farmers to help them figure out which of their elderberries would have the best effect. Most of the elderberry that we use in the United States comes from Europe. And so there was a big study done by the United States Pharmacopoeia and an organization called ABC, it's American Botanical Council, where they found that I think 17 or 18% of elderberry supplies were adulterated. It's not just, you can have contaminants just because these are botanical ingredients. You can find heavy metals and whatnot in small amounts because they come from, plants. But these were like fraudulent adulterants, like a purple color, purple dye, low value polyphenols, rice bran extract, all kinds of things and if you go to the FDA's website, you will also find recalled products. And a lot of times you will see that the most common adulterant gets added to men related products. And Viagra,
Yeah.
sildenafil, which is the generic form of Viagra, is the most common adulterant that
Corporate,
gets
yeah.
used. Yeah.
So
So
once you tested, you give us some kind of an emblem you can certify with a Canomics kind of a symbol that you give to them, or what
yes.
you put a stamp on it.
Yeah, and we are still new in that process, and what we have is Can Trust by Economics, seal of approval. So that can be used for what we call the product validation type of testing, where we do in-depth efficacy studies that I talked about earlier, single ingredient, multi-ingredient formulation, where we test for a product, its effect on 20,000 plus human genes, and do all kinds of bioinformatics analyses and whatnot. So that's like your one-time study that we do for product validation. Now, once you have figured out, okay, I'm going to mix these three different ingredients, I have to source these three ingredients on a regular basis. So then we can create that biological effect standard for each one of those ingredients. And then on an ongoing process, now you don't have to do the full validation study. All you need to do is look for the quality. And again, we can give you the Can Trust by Economics seal of approval. That service is not launched yet. We just got our $1 million funding from the National Science Foundation in July of 2024. So we are still building on the technology. However, we are in the beta phase of testing for my favorite ingredient, that is turmeric. We had also phase 1 funding from the NSF that we used to create that prototype testing for turmeric, that now we will be using over and over for other ingredients that we want to onboard on this platform. But we are beta testing turmeric right now, samples right now as we
Yeah, we
speak.
need a science for the dietary supplements people are consuming left and right. So we need a companies like you. Thank you, Leena. It is a privilege and honor to have you. We need your science. We need your companies, kind of a companies like yours, to test it, and then we need the across. That's a very important function you're doing, and really work. That's a real work. Thank you so much, and happy birthday to you and my daughter at the same time. Happy birthday to both of you. It's
Yeah.
very interesting. Both of you born on the same, more or less, same day. Thank you all. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And before I log out, I just want to give a sort of a teaser. We are also, you talked about how can consumers make decisions about what products to buy. Economics is coming out with a tool. We are a B2B. We basically work with normally with other companies, but this time we thought that we took it upon ourselves to really help the consumer make those buying decisions based on science. So stay tuned, and soon you will hear about our new tool that will help you make decisions about buying dietary supplements. Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed, and that lesson was just. You asked me in the middle if I was typing, and I was like frantically looking up all these things that I had never heard about. So, thank you for that nice presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Leena. That is Leena Pradhan from www.canomics.com. You can reach her there. Thank you all for joining. I really enjoy. Good night, and see you. See
Good
you
night,
soon.
everyone.
Good
Thanks.
night,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.